This will tick you off. Mortgage giant Freddie Mac asking taxpayers for an additional $19 million after posting a first quarter loss. This, believe it or not, is the smallest request it's ever made. And of course, it doesn't even hold a candle to the estimated $200 billion more needed to run Fan and Fred through 2014. Time to bring out our panel. Clint David is a legal analyst for David Goodman and Madola in Dallas. Katie Pavlich is the news editor for townhall.com and the best-selling author. She's got a brand new book out. You're going to want to look at this. Fast and Furious is what it's called. That's the topic, too. And Lindsay Piegza is an economist for FTN Financial. All right, Katie, let's start with you. What do you make of this story?
This is the problem with the government getting involved with private industry, right? Now, we already gave them billions of dollars to bail them out, and now they keep coming back for more. It's clear that Freddie Mac can't stand on its own, and because we bailed them out in the first place, well, you make that initial, what they say, investment, right? And so you can't give up now. Of course, you have to keep funding it, because if you say no now, you've wasted billions of dollars. So they're going to keep coming back for more, and it's also an indication of the mortgage industry and the housing crisis isn't over if they can't get their act together. We're still seeing mortgage foreclosures at a rapid rate.
Well, I think you're exactly right. I think with every dollar that Fannie and Freddie loses, this is just another example of why the government should not be in the mortgage business. We've already spent $170 billion bailing out these two entities, and as you mentioned, it could cost upward of $200 billion just to keep them going through 2014. Now, in the aftermath of the housing crisis, there was plenty of regulation and overhaul aimed at bankers and brokers, but nothing at Fannie and Freddie. Now, of course, there has been pressure to rein in their balance sheet as of late, but that doesn't address the liabilities that are already on the book, and it's going to take years to dissolve these, even if there is a legitimate plan to do so, leaving the taxpayer on the hook for years and years to come.
Clint.
You know, Jerry, I don't think I really care that this is the smallest request for money that Freddie's made. I mean, the government is absolutely, taxpayers are hemorrhaging money as the result of this bailout, and there's no end in sight. It's the largest bailout in history, and it's an unmitigated disaster, and who knows when or where it'll end.
I agree with that. Well, you guys all had it on. General Motors posting first quarter profits, but not without suffering huge losses in Europe. And here at home, sales falling just over 8% last month, as well as sales of the controversial Chevy Volt dropping nearly 40% from the month before. Lindsay.
Well, they've gone through a lot to get their act together, and they have done a better job here in North America. In fact, in the first quarter, the better than expected showing by the U.S. consumer was thanks in part to a big increase in car sales. We saw a 15% increase in durable consumption overall. But remember, given the headwinds that we're seeing on the global market, especially in the European economies, it's understandable that we haven't seen GM turn to maximum profitability. And of course, there's increased uncertainty about the sustainability of the U.S. consumer. And there's a lot of nervousness.
Let's get more people in here, okay? Clint, what do you say?
Well, I just hate to see this. I mean, GM has worked so hard on improving their products. I bought my first GM here since high school. It's a great car. It's sad that the European recession is dragging GM down, but that's what's happening.
Katie.
GM better be working hard with all the money we gave them. I mean, come on. But I'm really hoping that they weren't depending on Europe to make their balance sheet look better. Europeans don't drive as much as Americans do. And look, is it time to get rid of the Chevy Volt yet? It's not profitable. They sold, I think, a total of, 4,000 cars last year. I mean, a drop in Volt sales really isn't much of a drop from, a step up from zero, quite frankly. So time to get rid of the Chevy Volt, and time for GM to stop depending on Europe for their profits.
GM said, their CEO said this week, we don't know when we're going to be able to pay you back. Maybe never. Believe it or not. All right. In a likely attempt to appeal to young voters, President Obama pledging to help lower-income youths find jobs this summer. The initiative is supposed to add 110,000 jobs for 16 to 24-year-olds in Philly, Chicago, and San Francisco. Katie, what do you think?
Just like the stimulus package, the $1 trillion stimulus package was supposed to add millions of jobs, right? Look, there are 4 million unemployed youth. The problem here isn't getting a summer job. The problem is long-term economic growth. People graduating from college, people in college want a career. They don't want to move back in with their parents like they're doing at a record number right now. And so it's really patronizing for President Obama to go around saying, don't worry, kids, I'll get you a summer job just so long as you vote for me in November. They need long-term economic growth, and he's not giving them the policies that they need to get that done.
Well put. Clint, what do you say?
Well, let's put aside for a minute, this will obviously create jobs. I mean, this is obvious, blatant political pandering. There's no doubt about it. Of course, it does remind me of Mitt Romney coming down south, throwing on some boots, throwing out some y'alls, and eating some cheesy grits. The bottom line is politicians have zero pride.
Zero pride, zero credibility. Lindsay, what do you say?
Well, you know, it will create jobs, but here's the problem. You're just creating jobs for the sense of creating jobs. We can hire 2 million unemployed youth to break windows and 2 million more to fix them, but it doesn't contribute anything to the economy, and that's really what we want to see. So I agree, this is just a pandering attempt to rein in votes.
Okay, well, putting a bag in the overhead bin will soon cost you $100, $100. At least if you travel on Spirit Airlines. That's more than they charge for many of their tickets. Clint, when will these outrages stop?
Well, you know, this is just incredible to me. I mean, I have to believe that the negative publicity this is bringing Spirit far outweighs whatever the additional revenue may be. Dallas's own great Southwest Airlines got it right in their great ad, bags fly free. People love that. People don't want to get nickeled and dimed. They don't get it, and I don't know if they will. Obviously, this is a sign they don't.
Lindsay?
Well, look, that's the beauty of a free market. If consumers don't want to pay for the service, they don't have to use that service. If they think the bag fees are outrageous, they don't have to pay for them. They can fly another airline.
Or carry no bag at all. Katie?
Well, actually, if you look at the prices of Spirit versus maybe a U.S. Airways or an American Airlines, they've charged more and Spirit charges less. So really, by this baggage fee, they're kind of just evening out their ticket price with other airlines. So free market rules, people can decide, but in the end, Spirit does offer cheaper prices on tickets. So maybe even a $100 bag really doesn't add up to what you would pay with another airline.
Just waiting for the fee to go to the bathroom. You know what I mean? All right, guys, great job. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.